Commissioner Hicks.
Okay. So now we get to, okay, so the first thing is minutes approval. Does anyone have comments on the minutes? Motion would be in order if you don't have comments.
I move approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the minutes are approved. Oral communications from the public.
Don't think we have any.
Okay, we don't.
And you, let me check on Zoom for you.
Okay,
You don't have any attendees on Zoom.
okay. So we now go into new business, which is board, commission, and committee openings. And on this, the question is, you have a master list of suggested questions. Does anyone want to change any of these questions? And I'm gonna suggest that I read them all because that's what we've done in the past, but if you want to participate in reading, that's really important to you, do tell me. You can object to the way we've done it before. And we do get, I think, follow-up questions if they're relevant and not giving people special advantages, is what I remember. What are your thoughts?
I have a suggestion that for the advisory bodies where we only have one applicant, we only ask one question.
Yeah, that's good. Which one? Is
So
it?
library board, I like number 1.
Okay, good. I agree.
And then I don't have the list, so I'm not sure which other ones.
I think senior.
Senior,
Senior, we just have one.
first question.
Okay, that's good. And then, I don't know if we need 4 questions. There's so many questions for all these. Why do you want to serve? What are your thoughts? Which demographic group do you feel what should be priority? Which demographic?
Yeah, so
group?
I
Just one?
number 3 for Parks and Rec, I'm fine
Taking that out.
eliminating.
Okay.
Well, I mean, on the other hand, it surprised us, maybe it would surprise them.
Okay, what about, but I don't like see, what I would do, if you told me one demographic group, I would think that that I couldn't vary from that. And I would be like, 4-year-olds, Hispanics, oh my God, which one's, it throws you off. So,
All right.
thoughts, programs, and demographics I could ask, but I don't want to.
The other thing is, the truth is, for Parks and Rec, you have one opening and one incumbent, so.
No, there's
Yeah,
a second
but
one.
we have other people.
Jessica Chohan.
Only one seat open.
Right. So two applicants.
We have 3 applicants, right?
No, Jill and Jal
She dropped out.
She dropped out.
withdrew her application.
So we got one memo and she got the other memo.
I didn't get that memo.
Nice hearings. How about if what are your thoughts on programs that you'd like to see offered in demographic groups you'd like to see well served? Does that not hang
I would
together?
change to, because both of the applicants are pretty well informed, I would expand to ask about their thoughts on the Parks and Recreation strategy.
Okay.
What are
I'll
your
do
thoughts
that.
on that?
But that's the same as what do you think should be the priority for the coming years? But maybe
I would be fine with asking 2 questions instead
okay,
of 3.
I'll do that. Parks and Rec strategy.
Yeah. Which you're right, I think combines 2 and 4.
Okay. Then, bike pedestrian, what do you want to say, what are the 2 most important? Just ask what are the most important? What are the few most important? Accommodation.
I'm okay with getting rid of 3.
Priorities.
That's way too detailed for this.
Okay. And then,
Bicycle, we
what
have.
is your okay, what do you think the role? Why do you want to serve?
I think for senior advisory committee, why doesn't anybody else want to apply?
They don't have that.
Well,
I
they
can
apply.
talk to you about that. Are there particular kinds of artwork, public location? Arts Committee, I would kind of like to take out 2 and 3 and just say, what's the role of Visual Arts Committee? Why do you want to serve? And what do you think will be the most important thing in the things in the coming 2 years?
Yeah.
It's kind of like Parks and Rec Commission, there's the public art strategy. And we might wanna, I don't know how well versed all of the applicants are, but it might be worth asking, what are your thoughts
Uh-huh.
on the public art strategy?
Okay.
Yeah, what is your impression of the public art strategy?
Yeah,
Uh-huh. Okay,
which will tell us if they've been paying attention.
okay.
I'm okay with the mayor reading because I am functionally illiterate and I couldn't do it anyway.
Okay, so we have questions, and
And
now.
are we gonna do it, are we gonna do all the interviews and then make decisions, or are we gonna just make decisions as we go, or how do you wanna do this?
I don't have a strong
Can we
preference.
announce this at the end?
I think,
It's up to you whether or not you wanna do it as you go. I mean, you've got people here for interviews, so I might suggest that you move through the interviews
Yeah, I
and
think we
then make
should
your
do that.
decision.
I think that's what
If you
we've done in
can,
the
you know,
past.
if you don't feel like that's too much to kind of
yeah,
hold.
no, I think
one
that's
time.
good. I think that's good. I think I can do that.
Because it's really, there's
Okay.
really 3 groups right there.
So, Board of Library Trustees.
I have an update. An attachment 3 for Tutu Thompson, the percentage attendance of regular and special meetings should be 86%.
Okay.
And if you're ready for the first person,
Yes.
I'll call him in. His name is Cool Dip.
Oh, Cold It, okay, Cold It.
Okay.
He's a nice guy.
He's everywhere.
I see him all over the place.
He's everywhere lately.
Yeah, he's, sounds like, it. I mean, I don't know that I know him, but I probably do.
Hello. Hi.
Hi. Oh, yes.
Hi.
I see some familiar faces, just saying.
We were just saying that you're a familiar face.
That would be me. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's good that you're going to a lot of community events. Now, so, we are, first, my first question is, can you accurately pronounce your full name for me so that I won't mispronounce it?
Sure. So, Cool Deep, so think of the I as a double E.
Okay.
Always helps. And then for the last name, Ambasta, so the H is silent.
Okay. I think
That makes it a lot easier for everyone.
That's that. Okay,
Yes.
and I can call you Cool Deep?
Yes.
Okay, so we've narrowed it down to one question. As for this one, I don't know why, the competition is not particularly strong. So the question we have for you is, why do you want to serve on the Board of Library Trustees? And what do you think would be likely areas of particular focus for you on the board? And you can speak for, do we have a timer?
Yes, but how long would you like for?
You can speak for 3 minutes or less if you are more succinct.
Sure. So, I think I explained in my application, I grew up all over the place, US and Canada. 8 different cities, 2 countries, obviously, 10 different schools. And libraries were a safe haven for me. In every city and every school, for me, it was just about learning new ideas, learning about different places, et cetera. And it was always just a place that I treasured growing up. And as I've gotten older and became an investor, it's a place where I do investment research, pull magazines from Flipster, et cetera. It's just a place that I've always seen as a community gathering spot in some ways. You're looking for a job, you may look through job ads at the library or use the computers there. It's just always been a place that's held a special place in my heart, so to speak. And now I think I'm at a stage where I can contribute in terms of the fact that I have now a well-rounded enough background to be able to give back in terms of, say, looking at, so I have a lot of friends in technology, so maybe looking at the website could be one thing that we do. I know that they did a redesign recently, which I think highly of, actually. And then also just thinking through other areas where the library could expand into. I know that they do tax prep, for example, and then talks about drug abuse, obviously book talks, video talks, et cetera, but seeing what the offerings are, seeing what can be expanded or changed. I'm just eager to give back. I think I have a decent record in terms of having led the Stanford Peninsula Alumni Club recently for 3 years as the president, stepped down for that, so now looking at new challenges that I want to take on, and I really enjoyed attending the library board meetings that I have, and it would be a great place for me.
Thank you. Do any other committee members have follow-up questions of clarification?
You're okay with the time commitment, 2 to 4 hours per month, evening meeting third Monday of each month?
Well, I'm self-employed, so time is not usually an issue with me. I have enough time to do my day job and then do an extensive amount of volunteer work on top of that, so it's not a problem.
Well, that's good. What's your favorite genre of literature?
I really love books that tell a good story in a fictional way but relate to real life. And so I've always, I know this may sound a bit commonplace, but I really fell in love with The Great Gatsby of Scott Fitzgerald when I was taught it in 11th grade. It was a great critique of the Gilded Age, but set up as fiction and open to interpretation because Fitzgerald chose every word so efficiently that you're left kind of wondering about the meaning of certain things, right? And take a certain word out, you swap another word in, what would it mean? And there's even, to this day, there are so many theories about what the book actually means. Is it a critique on American greed? Is it about race relations? Is it about this? Is it about that? Is Gatsby that era's Bernie Madoff, for example? That's one theory. Or is Gatsby secretly, and this is one of the more controversial theories, but is Gatsby secretly a black man?
Ah, that is controversial. I've
Which is
never heard that one.
a very obscure theory, but it is debated in academic circles, actually. So it's just so amazing a book that so many years after it's been published, people are still talking about it. So I really love books like that make a huge impact.
Could definitely start a book now, but
Anyway, thank you.
more questions of clarification? Okay, so the procedure is, we are going, because there are many people waiting, we are going to go through all the interviews. This is a public meeting, you can wait around. I don't know if there's room for everybody in this room we've been booted to, but you can wait around to see whether you get on the committee or not, but I
Odds of success are high.
Well,
Yeah.
being one applicant in the room helps. Yes.
Thank you so much for coming.
Yes, thank you.
And for your interest
Yes.
in serving the community.
I appreciate it, yes.
that.
It's been good to see everyone here.
Okay.
Take care.
Right.
While we're waiting for the next group, is there a minute assignment you'd like to give to the?
I'm thinking 2 minutes for each one. What do you guys think? Is that too long?
Is it too long? I'm down for less time. We want everyone to go home before 6, ideally.
Hi, welcome.
Oh, we have nameplates.
Thanks for coming.
Yes.
Oh, yours are two-sided.
Okay. So, let me just get started with the procedure. I'm the committee chair and will be asking all the questions. You'll have 2 minutes for each question. I think we don't have a timer to show you, but
Not to show, but.
we've been booted to not our usual room, so I guess we'll be a little informal with that. Maybe you can give a warning at some particular time, but we won't give you demerits for going over, or certainly not under. People do both of those, especially going under. And we are going to have our discussion and choice after we've interviewed everyone, because there are a lot of people waiting out there. You have a choice of either staying here and hanging around, or we can notify you later, whichever you prefer. So with that, we are going to be asking 2 questions. And the first question is for Jessica. Why do you want to serve on the Parks and Rec Commission, and what do you think would be likely areas of particular focus for you on the commission?
Yeah, thanks for interviewing me. I'm interested to serve Mountain View and just represent demographic that I feel like is missing from the PRC. In North Mountain View, young professionals, people with young children. So I'd like to be able to contribute in that way. I feel like I can bring a data-driven mindset, creative ideas, and I'm not afraid of hard work or solving hard problems. I do that in my day-to-day. I think my focus areas will be very dependent on what the outcome of the PRC, the Parks and Rec Strategic Plan Survey will show. I think that that's a really key set of data that we'll want to look at that will help to define a lot of the priorities. So focusing in for me on the strategic plan, but I also think that the biodiversity and urban forestry management plan is really important as well. They all go hand in hand.
So Joe, the same question. Why do you want to continue to serve on the Parks and Rec Commission? And what do you think would be likely areas of particular focus for you on the commission?
So, I mean, first of all, I really enjoy and care about all the topics that sort of fall under the PRC work plan umbrella. I like working with our community and with city staff, improving existing programs and then also developing new programs for emerging needs. I think that now is a time in Mountain View where PRC topics are especially critical. I'm really looking forward to the strategic plan. I think it's a great opportunity to really take a fresh look at how all the PRC areas are managed in Mountain View. Programs, facilities, policies, fees. And I think that the plan will hopefully also provide recommendations for increasing parkland throughout the city, but especially in some of the underserved areas. And I've been involved in a lot of Parks and Rec areas over the years since I've lived here, and I really look forward to being an active participant in the strategic plan process. I think that in some ways the strategic plan is almost going to be sort of like creating a vision for Parks and Rec for the next 10 or 15 years. And so that's a pretty important thing to be doing, and it's a great opportunity. I think the biodiversity strategy is going to inform us about ways for preserving our local environment and for creating habitats and corridors that promote our local ecosystems. And as part of that, I'd look forward to working on strategies for increasing our tree canopy throughout the city. I'm also really excited about sort of the momentum that we have right now with new city parks. Number 45 just opened a couple weeks ago. And so I really would look forward to working on the final stages of the parks that are close to completion, and then also sort of the initial design stages of parks that are on properties that were opportunistically acquired. And I thank City Council for doing that. Places like San Rafael Avenue, Calderon, and Thompson.
Joe, that's your time.
Okay.
So, but you get another opportunity. We do round robin questions, which makes more sense when there are more than two people. But basically, Joe, that means you are the first person on this question. And this question is, what do you think should, tell me what you think should be the priorities for the Parks and Rec strategy?
Strategy. Well, I think, I think a lot of it is getting feedback from all of the different parts of our community. Like I said, I think it's sort of a vision. And I think it's just this opportunity to take a fresh look at everything that we're doing. I think that there's going to be data on parks inventory. I think there's going to be analysis on what's needed, what the costs are. Hopefully there'll be some funding ideas for acquiring new parks. Depending on the timing and whether council is so inclined, maybe parkland acquisition could be part of a revenue ballot measure. I think that that's something that would resonate with voters in our community. Certainly something I could get behind, going door to door on. Also, it might bring up opportunities for partnerships with outside organizations for, like three-way agreements, like we did with the water district in the school district in the Graham and what we've done at McKelvey. So there also might be some opportunities for sort of reimagining the uses of the way we use parks now. So maybe there are more efficient ways to use it, and maybe there are ways that we could put new things in new places. You know, as a PRC member, I'd want to really carefully review all the data and feedback that we receive, because I'd want to make sure that the eventual recommendations are consistent with what we hear from our residents, and also consistent with, you know, sort of what I've seen in the years that, you know, I've lived here for 30-something years, and so what I've seen over that time, and also my involvement with Parks and Rec. I also think it's really important that we're mindful that all voices are heard. I think it's always a challenge to do that. But I think the city tries real hard, but how much time, there are other ideas I have. I mean, any outreach that we can do is great, and it needs to be done, whether it's the strategic plan or not. I think it's something you need to be committed to all the time.
So Jessica, the same question, which is what do you think should be the priorities of the Parks and Rec strategy?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of aspects that are important to the Parks and Rec strategy. I think looking closely at data analysis of community inputs, city staff inputs is gonna be one of the major first steps. Identifying the needs, comparing that, or collecting and then comparing it with our existing assessments of what we currently are capable of. Looking at what are the options to leverage our existing capabilities and to meet those needs, and identifying what are potential solution options to meet needs where we have gaps. That's a really challenging problem to solve, knowing that land use is complex in Mountain View and land is expensive. So how can we find strategies to fund, whether it's land acquisition or new recreation programs in the city, whether it's a bond measure or through third parties or fundraising in other ways. That's going to be an area where we need to piece different puzzle pieces together to come up with a holistic plan. I don't think that we can solve all of our issues through this, so the strategic plan will need to be realistic. But I think we also want to strive for doing a really good job with it and not shying away from hard problems. There are a lot of opportunities and smart people and abilities in Mountain View that we should leverage to be able to do that. But most importantly, I think we can develop a plan. We have to execute on it. So this plan needs to be something that is measurable, is actionable, and can be monitored and achieved after it's put in place. Not just a plan that is a book on paper, but something that we have an action plan to achieve.
Okay, you finished right on the zero. So do committee members have follow-up questions or questions of clarification? We, by the way, are not allowed to ask you new questions, just questions of clarification. No, okay.
Very impressive.
Okay. So you now, like I said, you can hang around or you can wait for later, whichever you.
We're gonna do all the interviews before we
Yes.
make the recommendations.
Do you want us to tell you?
Tell you who we should
Which our
pick.
choice, no, which our, no. So I probably would just go for the email.
Oh, yeah, I see. No, you don't have to tell us. You can go do whatever you
I'll
want.
email regardless or something.
We will email you even if you stick around, yes. So thank you for,
Thanks
for
Thank you very
applying.
much. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Do you happen to have available the residents of the applicants or
Yeah,
the?
There's a bunch of things I
I'm
would
I'm
like to
I'm
know.
really curious
Yeah.
about the. I may ask later.
You mean their addresses?
Would have been on the
Neighborhoods,
application.
they would-
Sorry, I should be clear, of all of the Parks and Rec commissioners, I'm curious to know where they live. If you don't have that, that's okay.
Not
really either.
no.
That's something we, maybe an item 8 or whatever it is, where we could talk about things that we could improve.
I don't think we put their addresses on there.
No, we have the addresses, but we don't have the neighborhoods.
We put their addresses on the intro.
Okay. Well, it doesn't.
Yeah. Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Joe Mitchner lives in Old.
I know where each of them live, but I don't know where the other Parks and Rec commissioners live.
Oh, okay.
And I may ask
So
a question.
Where does Jessica live?
She lives in Montaloma.
Oh, okay. And Joe Mitchner lives in Old Mountain View?
No, he lives near Kevin Duggan and
Oh, okay, yeah. Hi.
hello.
Hi.
Oh, that's fine.
Hi, welcome. I'm sorry, this is a different room than we're used to, so in some ways it's nice because it's a little more intimate, but you haven't been able to listen to the other interviews. So the way this is going to go is I'm going to ask 3 questions. You have 2 minutes apiece to answer them, and it's supposed to be in what's called round robin, which just basically now means I will not, if I call you first the first time, you will not always be called first. Then after that, we are going to interview all the applicants before we discuss who should be, our choices and so forth. Now, this is a public meeting, so you can hang around and watch all of that if you want, or frankly, what most people choose is to go home and get an email later. So that's what we're going to be doing. And so we will start now. The first question, and do tell me if I'm mispronouncing your names. Emil?
Yep.
Okay, did well. So the first question is, why do you want to serve on the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee? And what do you think would be likely areas of particular focus for you on the committee?
Okay, so why do I want to serve on the committee and what areas would I
You
focus on? Okay, gotcha. So I think I'd be a good choice for the BPAC just because I'm new here. I came from Boston, which is like much more of a condensed city. So I'm used to like that kind of life. And once I moved here, I have my car, but I rarely ever use it. Maybe once a week to go hiking in a partisan. So I'm biking everywhere. So I'm getting a lay of the land. So I think I'd be a pretty good candidate at really truly adopting like an active lifestyle or like the more pedestrian focused, even travel to other cities, I'm taking Caltrain, stuff like that. So I think I have, building up the experience, and I think I can offer a lot in that aspect. And then what I could focus on, so I have a computer science background, so maybe, I know you guys have like data portals and stuff open like that. So if I could look at that kind of stuff, I think that would be very interesting to look at. And I've been attending BPAC meetings and things like that, so getting a lay of like the scene and how things work. So I think I'd focus on that.
Okay, thank you. 33 seconds if you want to add one more comment, but otherwise, feel free to go under everyone if you'd like. No pressure. So Lada, the question again is, why, in your case, why do you want to continue to serve on BPAC? And what do you think would be likely areas of particular focus for you on the committee?
So the first term has been great. I've learned a lot, and in part, I would like to continue just because when I first joined the committee, I did not really know what being on a committee entails, and I'm still learning, but I do know a lot more now, and I think I could be even more useful in another term. I walk and bike all over the place. I also drive, so I kind of, when I'm walking, I'm, thinking about the bikes and cars, and why don't they follow the rules on the road more, and, yeah, et cetera, and vice versa. So I am very passionate about that. I think even if I don't serve another term, I think one very important part, which might be coming up now, is I've always asked to know the status of projects. So I think if city staff starts maintaining a project tracker, it will make being on the BPAC much easier, because I feel like staff holds these cards, which are the improvements that the city can make, and they say, what do you think about this card? And then, but we're like, but what other cards do you have? And we don't know. And I think, to me, especially important will be implementation. There's so many good things in the pipeline, but when I look at the 2015 plan, very little has been implemented. What has been implemented has been great, and I hope that I can advocate for getting projects done, because there's a lot of very good intent and planning and prioritization, and now I hope it's going to happen.
Okay, you got down to the 0 too.
Immaculate timing.
Yes.
I did glance.
Now, help me with your name, it's Siamak?
Siamak or Hey You, I respond to both.
I'll use Siamak.
Yes, ma'am. I
So-
should have changed it to John Smith years ago.
You should.
Never got the opportunity.
So the question again, Siamak,
You
is
don't have to
why?
repeat it, I know.
Oh, you know it? Okay, good. You're a better memory
I've heard
than I
it
do.
twice.
Okay.
Why do I want to join? Number one, I've been a BPAC member, not in Mountain View, but in San Jose before. And my main passion is safety and training. We have so little of it. And I meet folks that don't appreciate any of it, and I have to be super focused on either not to run them over with my car or not to run them over with my bicycle. So many folks don't know, don't appreciate the highway code, which applies to all of us, drivers and cyclists. And one of my main goals is to become an old cyclist, not a dead one. So I am super focused on safety. Even in spite of the fact that we have challenges on the road with drivers. And another thing that I think last time somebody, member of the public, suggested, abolish right on turn, right on red. There's no need for it. I am both an American and British, and we don't have right on red. Red, you stop, and then you go. Most people, I think, I understand it's called the California stop. I have to be super careful. So anyway, I want to evangelize safety and training.
Okay. So question number 2, we're going to start with you, Lila, this time. What are the most important issues facing BPAC, and how would you go about resolving them? It actually says, the question says, what are the 2 most important issues, but I don't want to go out.
Okay, I mean, I feel like we're at, you know, okay, I can only speak to overall priorities. I think safe routes to school is very important. The city has been making progress, especially improving intersections close to schools. I think that's great. We can continue to encourage that along with the safety programs at the schools. I think Vision Zero is important. And I mean, this is more like just to say, when I moved to Mountain View, my son was 1. When the 2015 plan happened, he started kindergarten. Now he's in high school. I think it's important, like his whole childhood is going by without many things, like he won't be here. He'll go off to college before a lot of the improvements are made. And so I think having implementation and would be important. So I don't know how BPAC can help with that, but as far as it can.
Okay, thank you. So, Siamak, now it's for you. It says, what are the two most important issues facing BPAC and how would you resolve them? You can do one, you can do three, I don't care.
I have attended 2 meetings so far. Quite interesting. So I don't know precisely the 2 most important issues, but one, first time I attended and second time, I was thinking, things do take a long time. But then having thought about it, I'm so happy in the sense that things don't happen instantly because there are measured approaches. But the specific stuff that has been going on is the comprehensive transport policy that is being worked on. That is very interesting. More research is required so that there is information collection. I enjoyed your report last time from your actor. Now, how would I resolve them? I haven't had enough focus on it. I can resolve my stuff at work, but I cannot tell you if I did, I'll just make it up. I'm not into making things up, but ask me after I've had a few more meetings, then I'll be able to write back.
Okay, thank you. You don't want your 45 seconds, I suppose.
I yield.
Okay. Okay, so Emile, do you need the question? It is 2 more or less important issues facing BPAC and how you would resolve them.
2 important issues. So I think the 2 big issues are a lack of coordination, I think, between other agencies or like other committees within our city and other agencies outside of the city to get ideas. I think like an example of a good type of coordination was I think our El Camino Real project where we ETA was proposing basically repaving this project, and then we took advantage of that and were able to put bike lanes and stuff like that, or coordination between other agencies, even other committees. Like there's, I think there's like a Gray Star project at the Chase Bank, and as part of that, they are putting a whole bunch of like bike lanes and stuff and improving that area. So I think being aware of all these other initiatives in the city and being able to tack on bicycle and pedestrian improvements, I think we could probably do a better job between that of understanding all that. Then I think another big component is truly focusing on all ages and all abilities biking and pedestrian infrastructure. Like I want to be able to, whenever I have kids, I want them to be able to go to piano lessons, to go to the gym, to go to school completely on their own, unsupervised. It might be selfish, but I want my time back. I do not want to have to drive them and babysit them all the time, right? I don't want to be their chauffeur. I want them to be able to be independent. I think focusing on being able to get children comfortable being alone on bike paths, I think that's a huge issue, and I think we can improve it there.
Thank you.
And I like them to be safe.
Yep.
Okay, so the last question, and Siamak, of course you're first this time. What do you think should be, it's the same question.
We can cut it out if you want.
We didn't do a good job. Do you want to cut it out?
Ask a random.
A random question. You know how I can do that? So the third question is, what do you think should be the priorities for the committee, which is the same, I think, as important issues.
And there was an assertion that you wanted to know us better. I mean, we know Emile is from Boston. He's just come over. But no one asked me who the hell I am.
Okay, I'll give you each 30 seconds to tell us personally something we should know about you. It's relevant or irrelevant.
My name is, I am of Persian heritage. My parents sent me to England when I was 16. I suppose it was less dramatic than drowning me because I was a mischievous kid. So I lived there, went to university, electronics, instrumentation and control for 41 years. I was an avid cyclist then. Then I decided that I had enough of rain and miserable weathers, so did my wife. So we came over to the only place that counts, Northern California. And it's fantastic, sunny. And then I've been here actually about 27 years. So I love the area. Mountain View is wonderful.
Okay, good. Neil, tell us something, we know you're from Boston. Tell us something else about yourself that might be relevant or irrelevant.
let's see. I'm actually relatively new to biking. So yeah, before I was in Boston, and I get around everywhere. Just public transit. And I had a car, but I literally only used it for hiking. So I was trying to replicate that here. And I actually specifically picked Mountain View because of how close everything was. And it's fairly flat. So I was like, this is a great city to just start learning about biking and like using it as like a vehicle replacement. So yeah, so that's exactly why I picked this city. It was either this or Palo Alto, but.
You picked well.
Okay, so now Lada, tell us something about you that may or may not be relevant.
Yeah, so I really enjoy participating in the Facebook Buy Nothing group, and I offer to deliver the items instead of having people pick up, so I have an excuse to walk or bike, and that way I get more familiar with at least part of the city. I earlier in the day took Caltrain, and I get very excited. My friend was flying out of SFO, so he said we could meet in Burlingame because it's close. And I'm so excited when I can actually use public transit and it's convenient.
Okay, thank you.
Yours also has an infectious smile.
Ah, okay. Good point. Okay, so I think I've told you what's next. We will interview the rest. Thank you so much for.
Kick us out? Yes, ma'am.
I'm not kicking you out. You can hang around. It's a public place.
Thank you for applying.
Enjoy your time.
It's always nice talking about
so much.
Good to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you.
Either way.
Good to meet you, yes.
Cheers for now.
I like that as a standing question. Tell us something relevant or irrelevant about yourself.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good one.
I can't believe we left two almost identical questions.
We went through them hastily. It was fun.
Okay, given.
I mean, the voters should recall us, but
Brian here?
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So, we want to get to know you more. I am, I feel fairly confident that you'll be appointed, but, so what we're going to do here, we're going to, ask you one question. You will have 2 minutes to answer. And then the other committee members may ask follow-up questions if they have them of clarification. And then afterwards, this is a public meeting, you can stick around, but we're going to interview everyone else before we have the discussion to make decisions. So most people, frankly, go home and get an email at some later point. So with that, Brian, the question, oh, and the timer is up there if you want to look at it, but you don't have to. The question is, why do you want to serve on the Senior Advisory Committee, and what do you think would be likely areas of particular focus for you on the committee?
All right. I'm looking for something to do. I was a senior partner at a big law firm, Patent Law. I started my own firm. And when I turned 65, I'm 68 right now, I semi-retired from it. And I'm looking to be on a board or something like that, something, give me back to the community. I'm on the HOA board, my condo development. I actually go to a senior orchestra every Wednesday at the senior center. And I see people just hanging out, playing pool, the same people playing ping pong. It's not that vibrant. There's some classes that are pretty impressive, but I don't see much enthusiasm, and there's a million people, in the area, and there's only, a few people that go to the senior center. And my mother, she's a senior in Princeton, New Jersey, and her senior center is really vibrant. They have speakers, they talk about art, and it's more intelligent, more intellectual. So I'd like to see it a little more vibrant. I checked it out. They have movie night, which is nice, and they've got lots of programs. But I just feel like seniors could do a little more. As a senior, I see it's kind of tough to find things to do. I'm busy. I'm busy in music and golf and all that stuff. But I see these people, they've got basically not much to do. So I'd like to somehow get the word out that the senior center is like a fun place, and I'd like to see the seniors get together more. I don't see any real social programs there. And I haven't put much time into it other than to observe it. I'm there quite a bit. So I would just like to, make it more fun and somehow get the word out. I don't know how. But, get it out, maybe help them drive, maybe help them find ways to get around, maybe more activities, get them out on a bus, go somewhere, go see a play.
Okay, so now we can ask follow-up questions. Do people have follow-up questions? I'm actually curious, where do you live in relation to the senior center? Are you very, walking distance or far away?
Yeah, 3 minutes away by car. It's on Escuela. I live pretty much near Escuela and El Camino, a couple streets away. It's a nice place. You got a nice room, nice number of rooms. I'd like to just find out more about it, and if I'm on the board, I'll get more involved. There's a good turnout when we have a concert, maybe more music events. I think getting people more interested in the place would be good, because there's so many seniors, and there's going to be more and more and more, and I just think that there should be more interest in it, so much more potential.
Okay, thank you. Are there more questions? No? Okay, well, thank you so much for applying. I guess we're telling everybody the time requirement, which is 4 to 5 hours per month as needed, afternoon meetings on the third Wednesday of each month.
But that doesn't include the prep time. There's always a little prep time.
Yeah, good. Yeah, that'll lead into my senior orchestra time, but that's fine. We meet Wednesday, 1 to 4.
Thank you for applying.
Sure.
Yes, thank you so
Bye-bye.
much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do we happen to know why the incumbent decided not to seek reappointment?
Her husband became sick.
Which, oh.
Vicky
for-
Gilfix was the incumbent.
Right, oh. Yeah, and there was somebody else who was going to apply that I talked to from the library, what had been on the library board, but I guess she didn't.
No?
She just spoke to me once. I was at a meeting. She spoke to me. Okay,
This
this
is the
yeah,
barn burner right here.
yeah. Okay,
There are 3 openings, is that right?
are there?
Yeah,
There's
that's
lots
what it
of-
says, and 2 incumbents.
Hi.
Hi.
You all have name tags. I assume they're on both sides, but I actually have no.
Yes, they are.
They are. Okay, that's good.
Ours are,
Ours are one-sided.
Oh, you don't have yours, Allison?
No, I don't
Remember
have
the name?
mine.
I can turn it around if necessary.
Is there one other person?
When I sent out the email, he never replied whether he's gonna be here tonight or not.
Oh,
Christian Padilla?
Yes.
Yeah.
okay.
Does anybody recognize him?
Well, we read his application. Do you want to move one closer?
Sure.
We'll leave Christian over there just in case
Yeah.
he comes flying in the last minute.
Okay, so the process here, if you haven't overheard it from, well, the other people we're interviewing, is that we're gonna ask you, it's going to be 3 questions. You'll have 2 minutes for each question. The timer is up here. You don't have to take all the time if you don't want to. And we'll do it in what's called round robin, which means you won't always have to go first, which is a little harder than going second or third. Also, this is a public meeting. You are allowed to stick around. We will be discussing all of them, the committees, after we finish this interview group. Frankly, most people go home and wait for an email. But it is a public meeting, so you can watch us discuss everybody if you'd like. Yes, and then in addition to that, I will read the time. The time requirement is approximately 3 hours per month. There are evening meetings on the second Wednesday of each month, plus a little prep for the meetings, reviewing packets and so forth. So with that, we will start with the first question. And you are first in line, Cliff. If I mispronounce anyone's name, please correct me. So the first question, Cliff, is why do you want to continue to serve on the Visual Arts Committee? And what do you think would be likely areas of particular focus for you on the committee?
So I joined the Visual Arts Committee 4 years ago, in part because I was interested in helping advocate for more participation of citizens in creating art. And at that time, I discovered they were doing the Visual Arts were going to do a new strategy and present it to council. I thought, oh, great opportunity. Well, so I joined, COVID came up. And then we lost all the sitting staff on the visual arts. So complete turnover. We recovered and we're about ready to present it to you. So I like to kind of continue in order to see that through, also finally get your feedback, see if we're in the right direction, and then build upon it. Because it's just a strategy, as the staff says, it's not implementation plans. So that has to be worked out further. But first we have to get your guidance, are we in the right direction or not? The other opportunities, so first is to complete the strategy and build upon it into new plans, assuming that you adopt a new strategy. The other 2 areas would be opportunities for the transit center and the pedestrianization of Castro in the sense of a palette in order to introduce new visual arts activities into the city. I'd like to be able to participate in those.
Okay, thank you. Do you have more to say? Okay. So, Lacey, again, the question is, why do you in particular want to serve on the Visual Arts Committee? And what do you think would be likely areas of focus for yourself on the committee, you as an individual?
So I'm an artist and I'm passionate about community and basically the way that art can affect and be a signature sort of identity for a community. And I see Mountain View, I've been here for 24 years. I have a home here. And then I lived outside of the country for 3 years from 2011 to 2014. And throughout that, it was a lot of traveling. And then we drove to Patagonia. We went through all the Americas, and then we settled in Ecuador. And what I learned from that is that, again, your visual experience along with like the size of the city is so impactful on people's life, on people that come in, on your own experience as a resident. And I have free time now. My son just went away. I'm an artist myself. And I'm asking myself, how can I give back at this point? How can I best serve with my skills? And I also have a lot of friends in this area that have expressed interest in participating even in the committees, but a lot of people are so busy, they don't know when they're, like, the meetings, they don't know when they're happening. And so I am very good at networking and reaching out. I also have a lot of friends that are artists. The things I think need to be really focused on in downtown is, you know, the walkable streets and that transition, a new strategy, and like getting the team, you guys already know some of the people on the team that have some great ideas, and then also integrating our community and our diverse community into the plan. Being like, I have worked with not all nationalities, but many nationalities, and the way they express themselves through art, be it street art, be it textiles, and just kind of bringing that in so people feel a part of, not just like I'm a resident, but seeing that, so. 2 minutes.
Time's up. You'll have other questions. So now, Tani, the question is, why do you, as an individual, want to serve on the Visual Arts Committee, and what do you think would be likely areas of particular focus for you on the committee?
An interest in becoming part of the committee because I'm a graphic designer, so I've been living here since 2017, and I always look for ways to how I could get involved in the city. I'm constantly volunteering in different events, and I'm also part of the chamber as an ambassador, so I think I could put my skills into practicing whatever the new art could be, possible art in the city. Like I also like an illustrator, so I would like to, you know, kind of put my skills in there in whatever decisions we make when choosing the art or when choosing the artists who are showcasing. And also I have UX UI design background, so I could also, if things become digital, I could also help with that, because now with everything that turning from print and everything to digital, I'm like, we always have to constantly keep evolving. So I think I just could put my skills into whatever you need me to, and I will like to keep providing like whatever I could help in the city, since I'm constantly like helping out and volunteering.
Thank you. And now Tutu, a question for you. Again, it's why do you want to continue to serve on the Visual Arts Committee, and what do you think would be likely areas of particular focus for you?
Thank you. Hi, good evening. So I worked at a private sector design development center. My background is a Bachelor of Art. I also worked as a art teacher at public school. So like the private sector brought me some experience in like budgeting cost, timeline management, project management, communication among the team member and between artists and the committee. So that's that. Then the youth part, the public and art teacher part helps me to have a little bit strengths on the connecting with the youth. So I quite enjoy being the committee member. Like Cliff was saying, as soon as we got on, the COVID hit. So now we finally got back. The meetings happening on monthly. We finally face-to-face schedule. We finally become productive. I feel like we're getting in the zone right now. So I want to stay on. I enjoy this. I guess one thing I want to emphasize if I continue to be on the board is connecting the youth community. Like for instance, one of the upcoming project is the shoreline, the pedestrian bridge. So how do we have some more like a youth input in projects like that? In addition to or besides the professional artist. So that's something I'm passionate about.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So now, the next question, Lacey, we'll start with you. And the second question is, what is your impression of the role of the committee itself, the Visual Arts Committee?
the Visual Arts Committee is basically, what I've seen, like what they're doing now, is the big exciting part for me is the strategy, the new strategy that's developing. But having observed the meetings, a few of them, also the Performing Arts has artists that are represented within the Performing Arts Center. So choosing those artists and then choosing art for public spaces, and now moving more into like private sector and maybe discussing and moving in a delicate way to more of the private developments and having sort of more of a communal aspect integrated with the private entities and being strategic about doing that, talking to people, raising funds, you know, just getting people more into the community. And then once you care about something, you take care of it. So that's what I see. And then the downtown, the walkable street that's developing and making that more aesthetic and interesting, bringing in, I don't know if people talked much about this, but I have 2 kids and a 21-year-old who's an artist, 23-year-old. He has artists that are friends in the community. And then bringing in sort of the youth and the age, not only the cultural diversity, but the age diversity. So they feel represented in this town and then they can grow in it and be proud of it. So that's kind of, without repeating myself, what I'm seeing. And I just think it's such an exciting time. And what me as a resident and an artist and living many places in the world, I feel like it's an integral part time to get involved because as we know, it's like open spaces. If you put a park in, the park's gonna stay there. If you build over the park, you're not gonna go back and say, oh, we should have put in a park. So there's so much transition with this, with COVID and then the changes in the city that I care about it. I live here.
Thank you. 1 second left. Okay, Tani, again, the question is, what's your impression of the role of the committee itself, the Visual Arts Committee?
What I have seen so far, how they implemented, at least when I've been to the performing arts and I see the arts public there, I'm like surprised of, who is behind the scenes on all of this and how they make those decisions. And also I started seeing that there was more artistic meetings at Red Rock Cafe, so they are kind of making like the artists come together in the city. So I got an interest to be part of it because I would like to just see how the behind the scenes of all of the work and just how we can bring more people together in the arts since it's so important. Different backgrounds, also different people of different ages could come together because of art. So I always thought, how important the arts is, and that's how I decided to be in the artistic field because I feel that it's the only way to kind of how we can communicate with others without knowing, because we all have differences, but then art can bring us together. So I thought, how important role it could be to be part of it. So I think the community is already doing a good job into that. So.
And now, this is an easy question for incumbents, but Tutu, what's your impression of the role of the Visual Arts Committee?
So visual art is visual evidence of a shared humanity. So Mountain View being such a diversified hub, I feel like we just give people a vision of the art community and give people something enjoyable to talk about. Also, I have my notebook here, and have the public art to invite the audience to enjoy their city just a little bit more, feel a little bit more belong. So other than doing the boring budgeting stuff. So that's how I feel about the role.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Is that it? Okay, and Cliff, what
So-
is your impression of the role of the Visual Arts Committee?
So what I saw when I first started is that the visual arts activities were an add-on, secondary thought. And what I've learned is that we need to take a view the activities that we do, especially because the visual arts, a lot of those activities are related with parks. We needed to view the park as a visual statement. And so we changed our process to bring to us more, what is the park design that's going to be made, and especially the play equipment. As you look at Wyandotte, you look at Pyramid, you look at Fayette Park, you look at Mora Park, beautiful playground equipment is being introduced. Fantastic, colorful. We never see it. It's a surprise each time that I go out to it. So we've been trying to bring into us information about what's the design, what the play equipment is going to be, so we can know about it, and we can share it with the artists, so they know what the pieces are that they're going to create, what it's going to fit into. So we're trying to create more of a overall perspective of what the visual statement we're making, because the park is a visual statement. It's not just one piece. So we're trying to kind of expand I am trying to expand our thinking around making a visual statement here. Piece, but the park is a this visual statement unto itself, and the play equipment is a visual statement. So we need to bring that into our thinking process as well. So I'm trying to get us to expand our definition from where I began, which was let's select these nice little chickens piece to what's the environment that they fit into. And so it's also then when we come to open up the park, it's not a surprise of, oh, this is a visual statement that we've made for the city. And that type of thinking will enable us to look at the pedestrianization of Castro Street, the visual aspects of that, and especially the transit center, which will become a major statement about Mountain View, and take it in a more holistic view. So that's what I've kind of learned, and that's what I think we need to evolve.
Good timing. Okay, so this will be the last question, and Tony, you will be answering it first. And it is, so the Visual Arts Committee is working on a public arts strategy. What is important in the coming few years, and I guess I'm asking just what is going to be important in that, in the public arts strategy and over the coming few years?
I think what we have to think about is what the future holds, right? So now with everything, how everything is changing and evolving to digital in a way, or kind of with the AI and everything, we kind of also have to evolve. So I feel that we can give, we can kind of like have a specific one just for like artists that do a lot of things in print, but also giving opportunities to people that do things in digital, since we live in Silicon Valley. I think kind of having a mix of those things and kind of work with different type of artists, not only illustrators and painters, but also industrial designers maybe, or architects, or someone who builds things. Those things could work together. Maybe in the future we can implement different type of arts, not just one type of art. Things that we can keep evolving, see what the city needs and what the people in the city are their skills to, seeing what they can provide too, because so many people think art is just one thing, but it could be multiple things, and it can be developed in many ways and how people express themselves. So yes, we could do a lot of things, but open the diverse opportunities for diverse types of arts throughout the city.
Thank you. So Tutu, it's your turn, and the question is, what's important in the coming few years, and what's important in the public arts strategy?
I was just thinking on it. Okay, I'm ready. I think I have 3 points. But these are, the first one is include, is that the right way to say inclusion? Like, include everyone, include people from all ethnicity, all background, all interests. That's like one of the top thing. So for instance, when we were teaching art, I think it's the tennis building for Reinsdorf building. So we choose the one art we agreed on is the say that the silhouette looks like a indigenous people. That's for instance. And the second is environmentally friendly. So we want to promote environmentally friendly material, environmentally friendly concepts. My third one is the historical value of Mountain View. So when you have like competing artists, when you jury, we typically would say, hey, this one seems like more connecting to our Mountain View historical roots. So that's something we might, when all things are equal, we might promote that. So that's my.
Yeah. Thank you very much. So, so Cliff, you addressed this actually before, but I'll give you a second opportunity. What's important in the coming few years? What's important in the public arts strategy?
Well, money. So the question that'll come to council is, are you willing to fund more visual arts and make Mountain View equivalent to Sunnyvale? Look at Sunnyvale's art program. It is very, very mature. It's really thought out, but they also have a funding mechanism to support it. And that's going to be the question for you guys, is you want to increase the amount of activities the city focuses on visual arts or not? And to do that, you need to have money. The city needs to have money to do it. One to pay artists, one to pay staff. Our staff is really great, but they're not visually tuned. They don't have, that's not their skill set. So, and you need an advocate for visual arts in the city to work across the different city departments. You get that skill set, but that takes funding. The other thing is you need to include more activities for the residents to get involved and to express visual arts. You need to be able to state, have opportunities through Parks and Rec or Rec Department to create art. We need to create that environment that not only we're receiving art from artists, but the residents have an opportunity to express themselves through art. So we need to have activities much more vibrant in the city that makes it possible to create art in parks, in events. We had that a little bit in Art and Wine Festival, where we had the folks having an opportunity for kids to come up and paint, etc., which is wonderful. More of that, so that all the residents have the permission to create art in their environment.
Thank you. I don't know whether your time is up or not, because the timer just stopped and then the timer, and then it went. Okay, so Lacey, I think you have the last word here. The question again is, what's important in the coming few years and or what is important in the public arts strategy?
So I just want to really bounce off what was stated about creating a local space for artists. And that's been like a discussion that's come around with we have a really large community in downtown Mountain View that gets together, and they're mostly tech people, but they have a huge aesthetic interest in the city, and they aren't the people that are living here to make money and leave. They want to be here. They want to love their city. And the biggest thing they've said to me, and I mean together, is like, we need a space. We need a space where we are coming together in community and to express ourselves in art, not that we're even artists. And just because it's important for balance in a human, we have like a pretty big imbalance in the front brain here, which, it happens, it's great, it brings success, money, blah, 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 but there's like a lacking and a void. So that's been big. And making downtown a great space for art, which would include a space, improving the art scene. A lot of people, we've seen this, I'm sure you guys have seen this. You come into a city, there's an area that's a dilapidated, nobody wants to be there, the artists move in, they make it super interesting, then other people move in, the artists can't afford, they have to leave. So how can we keep that, like, bring more balance? So, and then include, like, when the money comes up, maybe be strategic and bring in the discussion of like how we can bring art into like more of the public development. That would be a lot of conversations, networking, whatever, and discussions with like people that are my friend, not just my friends, but in the community that have resources, that want to give back, but they're busy. So we reach out as networkers and say, hey, you know, here's an opportunity, bringing attention because they just don't have the time. And then really acknowledging the diversity as in reflecting that diversity through art in Mountain View. Inclusivity, huge. And I've done a lot of work in that in the world where I've lived. I think, and I've seen it, people don't feel seen. And if you just bring in their culture or a representation, it has huge, people identify with art as a cultural. And so for me, I'm really passionate about that. It's like walk your talk kind of thing. And people, I think we all want to feel a part of something, part of where we live, so.
Okay, your time may or may not be up. I guess it is up, okay. Okay, so again, thank you so much for coming. We do have our other committee members can ask questions of clarification if they would like. No, okay, I guess you answered all our questions
I just
very
want to echo the
clearly.
thanks. You know, thanks for applying. and
Guys, thank you.
this process.
Thank you for waiting out.
Yeah.
This is not our usual space. I apologize. We usually have chairs for
Fun chatting outside.
You had a good time. Okay, I'm glad.
Not around.
Okay, so this is a public place. You can hang around, but we will be discussing all the other committees first. Most people go home and get an email. Whether you hang around or not, we will email you. Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you all for your service too, appreciate it.
Okay.
All right.
So first we start with the library.
I move we appoint Coolbit.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Okay,
All right.
that's done. So now we move on to Parks and Rec. We can discuss and then make a motion and approve someone. This is, let me just make sure I'm clear, it's one position open.
That's correct. I just want to make a statement, is that my philosophy is generally, we should reappoint incumbents unless there's a specific reason why not to. And so I'm just very kind of incumbent-centric.
I generally share that philosophy. I can't recall a time when I voted against an incumbent while serving on the CARC or when making appointments to the rental housing committee or the public safety.
Oh, I can recall a time when I didn't, but yeah, I can't recall a time when you didn't.
Generally speaking, you know, I adhere pretty rigidly to that philosophy, and in this case, I think Joe Michener has done a good job serving in this capacity. Having said that, I think Jessica would be a good addition to the Parks and Rec Commission, and my regret is that the recommendation that I think you had provided, Pat, eons ago about allowing for the possibility of alternates has yet to come to the council, and I know that's not a city clerk issue, that sits somewhere else. But I think that would be an important opportunity for folks who have repeatedly, in many cases, expressed interest in serving and who I don't want to lose, because I think we have a lot of talent in Mountain View that we're just not able to retain.
And in this case too, with, you know, we're having this park strategy, and there's an advisory board working on the strategy. That's not necessarily exactly the same as the Parks and Rec board. You know, I would hope that she would, sounds like she's active in it, and I would hope she would remain active in it.
That's a good point. I mean, I have to say this, I generally agree with what the two of you are saying. I guess I draw the line when somebody is not attending a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Or if they're not prepared for meetings, if
Well,
they're
that's a
attended and
good
not
reason
prepared.
not to.
But
yeah.
Joe, you know, I don't think he falls in that category. He attended 100%, and I have not heard, and people do complain to me sometimes about some people, but not about, Joe has not been complained about. I feel a little bad because I do feel like the Mauna Loma neighborhood, and maybe you asked about, is this the one where you asked what
Yeah.
neighborhood everyone's in? You know, the Mauna Loma neighborhood, I feel like it would be good for them to have some representation. I give people a little more weight if they've applied twice and Jessica has applied and they're good. So I feel, I am leaning towards Joe, but this is one where I don't, on this committee, I vote, but I don't always feel good about my votes. This is one I don't feel 100% good about, but I
Yeah.
am leaning towards Joe.
Okay, so I nominate Joe.
Second the motion.
All those in favor?
This is my least favorite committee for that reason. I hate picking between good people.
I can make some of the rest of them your least favorite. Okay, now we're on BPAC. And this is, remind me how many?
There's one opening.
One opening, okay. So maybe I'll start. So I would actually like to vote for all of them again.
Yeah, they're really good.
I have to say, I lean towards Lada for two reasons. One is she's the incumbent. We've talked about that. And the second is, I have to say, she is one of the few people who talks in a little bit more detail about pedestrians, whereas most other people come in as bike champs. And I feel like it's as if we have a Parks and Rec Commission where everybody is an avid tennis player or something, and nobody does the other things that the committee covers. So, although they did all speak to it to some degree, but that's the other reason that I lean towards her, and that's my take on it.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I'd like to appoint all of them in this group. I mean, I think they all would bring different things, but like, you know, like Emil, he was saying, well, I'm new to the area and I've explored everything on a bicycle. And I mean, I think that kind of mindset of being willing to put yourself out and do that, that's really admirable. And it's so appropriate for bikes and for parks, for the BPAC, but at the same, and Ciamark, I mean, he has biked in various countries. He was on the San Jose BPAC. I mean, I think he represents older demographic, and I think it's really important. You know, there are a lot of people who are older that are biking because it's flat here. You know, people can still bike. But I'm with you. I think we should go with the incumbent, and again, there's no alternate.
Yeah, I mean, that's something maybe in our item 8 or whatever it is on this agenda. But the other thing, I thought the point you brought up, Pat, was good, that, and this is, I'm stretching it a little here, but because active transportation, I think, intersects with our park strategy, in that a lot of people are asking for, you know, paths to, a lot of people are acknowledging that walking and biking are two of the sports that people undertake, or hiking, and they want paths that lead to the parks, tree-lined paths or bike paths. Possibly the people that we don't put on BPAC, maybe we could suggest that they might want to be on the Parks Advisory Commission. Maybe they don't see the connection and they don't want to, but we might be able to suggest that.
Is there room on that?
I don't know.
I had
You don't think there is?
I had my briefing, but
I didn't ask
they were
that.
unclear about how many people they were gonna welcome on that committee.
Is that,
It's gonna be and whether or not there were gonna be public meetings.
the city clerk's office, are you aware of this committee? So this, I suspect it may not be Brown acted then. It may just be like an informal ad hoc.
Yeah, if I may, so a legislative body, or what you might call a Brown Act body, is anything that the council creates, either by motion, ordinance, resolution, what have you. So if it's something that staff is creating, then it would not be a Brown Act or a legislative body. And that doesn't preclude the fact that they could be public meetings. It's just that they don't have to adhere to the same.
I thought the group was not yet formed, but I might
Oh,
be
it
totally
isn't,
wrong.
it isn't yet formed, but they had a list of, who they, what kind of representatives they wanted. And there were a whole bunch of organizations, for instance, that they wanted to be on it. And, I'm not sure that any of these people represent any of those organizations. Well, I guess Emil was MVCSP.
A different briefing from what I got, because you're sharing information I'm not familiar with.
Okay.
I should probably reach out to John.
Apparently she asked different questions.
Yeah, maybe.
Because I didn't get this information.
Yeah, this is
Well,
new.
also I did a lot of stakeholder stuff. So, putting together stakeholder groups, that's something I care about and I ask a lot of questions about. And,
Yeah, that's a good set of questions.
but like yesterday, I was having a meeting with somebody about gatekeeper, and we were saying, well, it's too bad you didn't ask Lucas, because I'm sure if he'd had this briefing, he would know the answer to that. I went over my head. So.
Okay, well, I just thought we might suggest to the people
Yeah.
putting it together
Yeah,
that they might be interested. Anyway,
yeah. I
that's
think that's a
really a
good idea.
tangent.
Okay, so downtown committee.
B-
showed up.
BPAC, we still have to make the
We haven't
appointment.
voted for
Oh, we
anyone.
haven't voted. Okay, so,
You have
Move
to
to
make motions.
recommend the incumbent.
second.
All those in favor? Yes, there's no one for the downtown committee. So now we
Would you
move,
like to make a motion?
Yeah,
To-
so we still need a recommendation from this body to appoint Jamil, should he actually be reelected to his position.
I have a question about that. Our policy requires us to interview. Is that different?
As long as they've interviewed once,
Okay.
they don't have to continue to be interviewed.
and did he know that? Is that why he didn't come?
Oh, that, I don't know.
I think he knows that.
Okay. He usually goes everywhere, but I don't want to assume anything.
There may have been but yeah, you actually changed your policy to say that they have to have been interviewed at least once.
At least, okay, so I had forgotten about that. Thank you.
All right, so I move appointment of Jamil if he wins his election.
Second.
All those in favor? Okay, now we move on to the Senior Advisory Committee. Discussion or motion about Brian.
Once he started talking, I thought he had some pretty good ideas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay, I move Brian. I hope he will be able to recruit some other people.
Second.
That
All
was-
those in
that was-
favor? Is he the only person on the committee?
To which term? There's a
Full term.
full term. Okay, thank you.
Partial term.
Yeah, that would be
We'll
cruel.
try you out. Oh, my God.
All right,
Okay, so now we have
the hard one.
the Visual Arts Committee. And again, let me check in. This is 3 positions.
That's correct.
Okay, and so I'm going to start off my comment by saying I have been receiving complaints from, so I'm going to contradict or go against what we said earlier. I have been receiving complaints from committee members on the Visual Arts Committee that one of the people, one of the incumbents, that Tutu has not been reading that she misses some amount of meetings, and that she also is not prepared. She's looking through that she's not reading her materials ahead of time. So I have had multiple people express concerns about her, which is why I did some outreach for other people, frankly. That's my statement.
Fair enough. I can't say I've independently corroborated. I haven't heard those complaints. And I have a relative who serves on the
Yeah.
Visual Arts Committee, who tells me a lot. So I don't have that hesitation, but that's mostly because I haven't heard anything. I also haven't been watching watching the meetings. And I'm curious to understand, I don't really know all of the material being presented to the Visual Arts Committee regularly. I can't imagine that it's of the same, technical caliber of the kind of material that we review. And she could still have good insight and input, even if maybe she hasn't read everything cover to cover.
So the comments that I've gotten are that not only does she not read it, but she doesn't make many comments, and she just often votes along with whatever the last person said. Committee members have expressed a level of like pretty strong discomfort with the lack of really engaging in any way with the material, either reading or having, I mean, you can, I suppose, if you're very steeped in the information, you can make comments even if you're looking over it for the first time at a meeting, but people thought it was to the extent that it wasn't really giving the artists a fair chance, because it was pretty, on the fly, and the artists have put a lot of work into it. So there was a certain level of, complained to me, there was a certain level of distress about it.
So let me mull this over. There are two easy choices for me. One is Cliff and the other is Lacey. I'm happy to move that Cliff be reappointed and that Lacey be appointed to one of the terms, and then we can deliberate.
The other two, okay. I would second that.
Okay.
All those in favor? Okay, so what are the merits of Connie versus Tutu?
Well, I think that they both represent demographics in our community that English is not their first language for either one of them, and Tutu represents the Asian community, and Tani represents the Hispanic community, and the truth is, we'd like both of those communities to be very involved. But Tutu and her husband were very active politically in the, when we had the cannabis discussion, and they are very active on WhatsApp in the Chinese community, so I am concerned about how not reappointing her will be viewed in the Asian part of our community. But I have to say, I had experience where I used people from the visual arts community as judges for a neighborhood association art contest we had during COVID, and she didn't keep up her part of the deal, and everybody was like, oh, yeah, she won't do it. I mean, when it came time to kind of button up and make the decisions, they were like, no, we shouldn't wait for her, she won't show up. So I did also hear, that she isn't known for really following through on obligations. But I haven't heard that she, her attendance at meetings is pretty good. She shows up, so.
Well, it's the lowest of everybody. It's not dismal, but it's the lowest of everybody.
Well, between Cliff, right?
Oh, is Cliff's that?
No. There were only two incumbents for this body.
Oh, I mean, of all the
Incumbents.
incumbents.
For anything.
We reappointed Don Whitebread, who I strongly supported, who had an even lower attendance rate.
Oh, yeah.
This was in the mid-70s.
No, I mean right now.
Right.
In this round.
But
Yes.
I guess
No, it's not terribly low.
Yeah, I couldn't use that as an argument to remove her or to not reappoint her. It was not low enough to be alarming.
Well, that's why I mean, it's really more the following through that you were talking about, engaging with anything at all. So I think I would rather give Tani a chance than continue with someone who I've heard is not really, is not engaging with the material, although her answers were not terrible, I have to say.
I was hoping for more from Tani.
Uh-huh,
You know, so I was-
Yeah,
I'm-
if Tani had really hit the ball out of the park, that would have been.
Yeah. And I'm not familiar with her involvement in the chamber. Maybe I should be, but
Mhm.
she identified herself as an ambassador, and they do a fair amount of work. I do see them, but I'm not, it's not a disqualifying factor. I guess I'm not certain I'm prepared enough to critique Tutu's performance because I haven't personally observed meetings and I haven't received those complaints. So I probably couldn't support a motion to remove or to not reappoint. It's not explicitly removing, but I will understand if that is the majority.
Yeah, I'm gonna move to reappoint her. I just think there would be really serious repercussions.
Okay, well, to be honest with you, I'm just glad that we got, the committee members that I talked to asked that we get somebody who can deeply engage with this and who knows what the Visual Arts Committee does. So I think with Cliff and Lacey, we've gotten that, and I can go along with whatever the two of you want.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, all those in favor?
I think it would be fair, though, to share constructive feedback. Right?
Okay.
And we have relationships with her.
Okay.
You know, we're hearing that maybe you could be a little bit more,
Okay.
maybe something like that.
Maybe your brother can do that.
I can talk. Is there anything else that
Is
the?
Don Whitebread still on?
Yes, yeah, he was reappointed, what, was that last year?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so, let's see, where are we on this now?
I'm done.
Well, do we have like an item 8, do we have committee members and staff reports? No, nobody has a report.
I have one thing, I don't know if this is still the case, so my apologies that this information is dreadfully out of date, but I've heard that we don't always, or we don't send emails to applicants who are not selected, so they're just kind of
Oh my
left out in
God.
the dark.
We gotta send an applicant.
So I'm curious,
They do receive emails.
so is that like operationalized, is that part of a policy or something?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
So when
That's
was it?
good.
Yeah.
Tomorrow?
Well, I could say that the committee has recommended this person to, but I usually send it after the council action.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
'cause you're not appointing anyone tonight.
I think it would be, don't you think we should tell them they've been recommended, not just string them, because I told them that they could leave and then.
Yeah, I could send it out.
Yeah, I think we're good to tell them. And also, you know, say something nice about, we really appreciate their stepping up and, filling out the application and coming to the interest in our stuff.
But yeah, no applicant is going without an email.
That's correct.
yeah, that, there may be very old information at this point.
Or maybe somebody like me who doesn't read their personal email very closely.
When I had applied for the planning commission in 2012, I did not.
Oh, it was
read-
you.
No,
You-
that was years ago, but I had heard it since, you know, and so it's a courtesy and I'm glad that we're doing it.
Yeah, when I was, I applied to planning commission, I guess there was email, but it wasn't that common. And so,
Email hadn't been invented, is that
well,
what
it
you're
had been
telling me?
invented, I mean, it was the early nineties, but everybody didn't have personal email.
Yeah.
And, so they called you. And,
Oh, wow.
I remember Jim Cochran called me and said I'd been appointed, and that's
very
we
sweet.
had a conversation, that was very nice, actually.
He's a good guy.
Yeah.
I've had 2 people call me today and say,
He's a good guy.
I emailed you and you didn't get back to me. Like random residents. Okay, so I think I'm gonna adjourn this meeting.
Oh, yeah.
That is at whatever, I don't have my
7:20.
7:20.
Wow.